is for your second lesson. Your first lesson for the 2017 Year 7 sequence is really just about getting to know the kids and trying to remember all of their names and a little bit about them. So try and bring some icebreakers, something that really appeals to you. And this Prezi is for the second lesson. So I'm happy to take some feedback on the name of the certificate. I thought it'd be nice if we could give it some sort of certificate title for our 2-year journey. So I've gone with Certificate of Science History, but if you can think of something cool and quirky, please let me know, because I couldn't think of anything else. So the first slide here is, have you ever wondered? And this is about getting the kids to really tap into their curiosity about the world around them. So even asking them about, like, have a look outside. Have you ever wondered why trees are green, or the way that they're built, or why is the sky blue? All of these sort of like amazing questions that really tap into science and figuring out like how things are, and just really stimulating their inquiry here, getting them excited. So here is the welcome page. So it's welcome to Asset, and this is about really probably talking about some of the things that you might have talked in your first lesson, about the safe space that we're in and why we're in there together. And basically it's just this slide taps in about working as a collaborative team to discover together. So that's why I've got the hashtag of Discovery Family, so that we can be curious together and learn together in a safe collaborative environment. This is one of my favorite quotes. You can choose to skip over, delete if you want to, but it's just, science is simply the word we use to describe a method of organizing our curiosity. So it's implying that it's already within us, and we're just giving it a name. I really like it. So this is about the qualities that an asset member needs to have, and as you can see, it's going to go into what asset stands for, because I'm sure you're already asking yourself. But the things that I thought that we could get the kids to really tap into would be their curiosity, which I've talked about already, being observant, which I think goes hand in hand with curiosity, and again, that collaborative sense. So then I've just got some funny little things here. So I'm not sure whether Albert Einstein really said this or not, but it's, I have no special talents, I am passionately curious. So it's really trying to tap into the kids' maybe pre-misconception that science is only for the smart kids. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just about those that are curious and observant. So this dog here, I just thought tapped into the observant. And then again, working collaboratively. So alone we can do a little, but together we can do so much more. So really strengthening that understanding of it. And then again, tapping into our values. So respect, integrity, care, and excellence. So you have to be respectful in order to work collaboratively. You have to have integrity and care, and then all of those together come excellence. So here we go. What does it stand for? So again, if you have a better suggestion, I'm open to it. But it's an Alkira Science Inquiry Team member, okay? And that means that they're an asset to themselves and to our community. So I thought that was a nice little almost pun. So at this point, you really want to encourage the kids to be like, all right, cool, how do I qualify? How can I be one of these asset members? Like, I'm really keen to get on board, of course. So here's a few little things. So write down all the questions you have regarding this photo. So this is about being curious. So for those of you who don't know, this is my puppy Mavi, my baby. So you might be like, how old is he? What's his name? Why is he having a bath? Why does he have brown fur? Why is he so small? Any sort of questions that you can give that they can write down. So you might want to give them a time limit, or you might want to just go around in the classroom and just get everyone to ask a different question. So it's just about getting their curiosity really fired up in this question. This one here, again, you might want to do individually, or you might want to do as a class. It's really up to you. Write down all the things that you notice. So I've used the hashtag here, have you been paying attention, which is that show that some of you might have watched. So it's about them being really observant, about noticing every little detail. So it might even be to what's the painting on the wall, to what's hanging up in the kitchen, or what color is the tea towel, or some little minuscule detail that they might not have picked up on. So really try and flesh that out a bit. This here is where you get to bring your own creativity, I guess, to icebreaker or team activities. So it's about working together. Excuse me. So there's a few ways that you can do it. You could either come up with an activity, whatever it may be. I'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. But it might be that you get them to do it and they time themselves doing the task. And then you talk about, what sort of skills did you use? How are you communicating? How are you being collaborative? How are you being effective? What worked best for you? And then you might be like, okay, so now we need to figure out who's the best, who's going to win this, team collaborative prize. And then that's when you say to them, well, you're going to do that challenge again. And then you have to record it. And whoever beats their PB, I guess, can take the trophy of, working collaboratively and have the skills to assist other people in developing that. So the challenges that you could get them to do could be as simple as, bringing in a jigsaw puzzle or rearranging a bunch of books or something in order from biggest to smallest, or pick up whatever, 62, 32, whatever, all the cards. It could be anything that you wanted them to be. It could be about making a human triangle or whatever, a pyramid, whatever it is. Think of any of the tasks. You might even ask them to come up with some things that they did in primary school. But yeah, just really focusing on reflecting about what made them a good team. And then this one here, again, I've got the rice phase up the top, but this quote I really love by Winston Churchill. So it's continuous effort and not strength or intelligence is the key to unlocking our potential. So again, it's really tapping into those misconceptions that you have to be, strong to be a great athlete. One helps, but or intelligent to be successful in subjects such as science. When in fact it's probably just about that effort and that passion and being curious and observant and working together that are really going to start to unlock your potential. And where, when you're enjoying yourself and you're working in a team, that's when you're going to start seeing the progress. So once all your kids have, got on board and they reckon that they can do all three of those skills, that's when their application is complete. And you say, well done, you're welcome to join the asset team. And then we can start our journey. So then we start to talk a little bit about what the certificate involves. I thought this first line was a little bit funny, that it was 2 years completion full time. And so then I started to tell the students about what it actually is. So we're starting from the very beginning. So we're starting from the Big Bang, and then we're working our way up through inquiry questions to figure out what happened next and next and next, all the way up into an ecosystem. So we're virtually starting from the very beginning, where scientists think things have happened or they can't find any answers before that. So the Big Bang, creating particles, creating universes, galaxies, Earth, whatever, and then how life developed. So really get them excited about it and get them starting to ask some questions, because it is, you try and tap into what got you into science, then bring that to the class as well. We talked about this in some of our meetings, and I thought it was a great idea that the questions that we have in each of our lesson plans are going to be put on the board and made very explicit, put into your Compass lesson plans, and on our outlines. I think I've already said that before, but they can be your lesson outcomes. But at the end of that class, or at the end of when you've addressed that question, I think it's really important that the kids put that into their workbook. So you can have it as either part of a glossary at the back, so that they have to have, the question in one color. You might even want to keep the color code scheme that we've got. So yellow being chemistry, red being physics, blue being environmental, and green being like a biology. Purple also being skills or psychology. So you might want to get them to write that into their glossary at the back, or you might even want to, keep it in their book and just, give them a tab or a dog ear for where it is, and get them to write down the basics of what they understand about that question. So that's some sort of, assessment that you can also look at as well. I think Rico was talking about getting the OneNote classrooms going this year, which fingers crossed will be really helpful and really exciting. So maybe we could even, have a page in there where we can, get the kids to type up their glossary big questions and their exit passes, and then you can just see it before they leave. So that's something else to do. But I think that's a really important way of concreting and making sure that their understanding is really explicit, and so then they can move on to the next question for the next class. The asset project is the time that we have allocated in term 4 of year 8, so 2018 term 4. We're not sure what that's going to look like at the moment. We're thinking it might be like sort of an inquiry-based approach, or some sort of science fair or communication, or something along the lines of that. So as we're going through this, definitely ask the kids for some feedback. I think I've got a slide about that later on, but or even keep thinking of some ideas. I don't know if it's going to be a full term. We might have to, flesh out some of the things that we've got. But that's where it stands at the moment. So make sure you communicate that to the kids. And I definitely think we'll have some sort of science fair to sort of celebrate, their completion of their 2-year full-time certificate of science history. So I won't spend too much time going through this in this recording, but this is our outline, so our journey over the next 2 years, and I've color-coded it with the colors that I've mentioned previously and given them the letters of the block. So as you know, that these letter blocks are not specifically allocated to terms, but just their own blockings. So we start with A and we go all the way through. So I'll just run through them really quickly. And again, if you feel that we need to change these questions or modify them as we're going or before we get to it, this is an ongoing process, so feedback from everybody is extremely important. So we start with, like I was saying before, the Big Bang, how the Big Bang created, what was created, and what are the building blocks. So there's a storybook that goes along with this, and I just thought it was a nice sort of way to introduce it, to give them, you can make that as simplified or as advanced as you want, but that's something that we can keep referring back to up until we start looking at the time of Earth formation. So that's in lesson 3, I believe, 3 or 4. And I've also done a recording that you can either show to your kids or you can just listen to before you read the picture storybook with them and do the role play. So it's something that we can refer to all the time. So or we just want to know what happened in the Big Bang. Then we start to look at, particles are being made and how they're interacting with our everyday lives. So if we look around and can be curious and observant, what can we see? Then we continue with chemistry and we start to look a little bit more into the matter. So we start to look at atoms, how they can be separated, how they classified, a little bit of bonding as well. How do they react with one another? So getting a little bit deeper with it. Then we start to look from a geological perspective. So if we're going through the Big Bang at this stage, nothing's really been created. We just looked at matter at the moment, so particles. So then we want to be like, okay, cool. So, lithium, hydrogen, and helium help to make the stars. Then we have a gravitational pull around it from all the dust and particles from a supernova from another star. So how do we start to form the Earth? How are we starting to create our sort of existence? So this is talking about the different components of the Earth. So looking at, tectonic plates, even before that, like the basics of how rocks would have collided in our galaxy to form the Earth, and then how we started, to get into the gravitational force and of our sun and then the moon and so forth. So really starting from the basics. I love this picture so much. So it's talking about, our interactions in the solar system and how we experience them. So once we've got our Earth that's created, then we start to look at the seasons and how we're experiencing them, which is really exciting. Then we start to look at, so we've talked in the story of everything at the very beginning, we talk about how energy is created as it starts to cool down. And we look at gravity and the electromagnetic spectrum, so different types of radiation, so radio waves, gamma rays, visible light, those sorts of things. And so we want to know, how they're interacting with us and, how we're experiencing them and how do they help us in our everyday lives. And because obviously we can't see energy, so we need to start to figure out, how we're using them in our everyday lives and what would it be like if we didn't have as much gravity and so forth. So That's a really exciting concept that we can tap into there. Once we've covered that, then we start to be like, all right, cool. So we're going to come back to environmental science and look at how we use the matter around us. So we're looking at the different cycles and the resources that we use. So there I've got a picture of the water cycle. We can also look at the carbon cycle, maybe extension to the nitrogen cycle and the phosphate cycle, and even talking about sustainable use of energy and things that we should be doing to, step forward and look after our earth a little bit more. Then we start to tap into and get a little bit smaller again. So starting to look at, well, okay, so we've looked at matter that we're using in our society. We've looked at energy. And now I kind of want to look at me and be like, all right, so what's our body look like and how does it function and why does it function like that? Then once we've looked at ourselves, I want to start looking at other organisms and be like, are they the same as us? Does their matter look the same? Why is it different to us? So starting to look at adaptations and how we classify different things. So why is my puppy different to me and how is he classified using dichotomous keys? And then the last one, which I think is a really deep sort of concept, and hopefully they've started to touch on this all the way through the journey anyway, but it's how are we connected to everything, and are we really just as independent as what we think we are? Like, humans feel that we rule the world, but are we really that separated from everything else around us? So this is where we start to also look at food webs and energy cycles and pyramids. So yeah, a whole bunch of exciting concepts that we're going to go through for the next 2 years. So please make sure that you bring that presence to the class, because the kids will reflect whatever you bring. So make sure you're enjoying the journey as well. There we go. Now we come. So then that's back to the project that I was talking about before. So you might want to get the kids to start thinking about it, some questions that they want to do, or encouraging them to use their workbook appropriately or whatever they're using so that they can refer back to it, because it is a 2-year course, not just 1 year. So like I said, make sure that you've got your excited face on like Mr. Bean does here, and get excited to, get to know the kids and work with them, and ask questions and have the same sorts of skills that you expect them to have. So be really observant, be really curious, and you're part of their team as well. So be collaborative and work together. This is something that I like to do in my classes, which is getting the kids to really think about their purpose and their intention as to why they're sitting in their classroom. So you might want to do this at the start of the 2-year journey, and then tap in to this sort of thing and get the kids to change it whenever you feel that they're getting a little bit restless perhaps. When I say purpose or intention, I don't want it to be like, well, I have to go to school. I want it to be like, so we're in a classroom together and there's things that we have to learn about, but what's the real purpose? Like, what's your intention of being in here? So it might be that it might be just for that lesson. So your intention for today might be that you just want to make sure that you get that one task done, or that you work better as a collaborative team, or that you might want to ask for help. So it doesn't have to be really big. It can be really small. It can be really general. But their intention really needs to be personalized to their purpose. So if I was going to say my intention would be to ask a few more questions to clarify things, my purpose would be so that I'm building my confidence and that I'm developing my understanding of things and that I'm becoming a better learner. So this purpose and intention is really personalized to the kids, and it might take you a while to even get your own head around it and then get theirs around it. But that's something I really like to come back to with the kids, especially when they're starting to get a little bit restless. Okay, and it's really important that they come up with their own purpose and intention. You can guide them to it definitely, but it defeats all purpose if we're dictating to them what it should be. Give them examples, but guide them. So, like I said, constructive feedback is always encouraged. So please promote that with your kids as well as amongst each other. So if there's something that we think could be done better, or you'd like to include, or we want to get rid of, or whatever it is, that's really important. So, communication between every aspect of this is really important. So I hope that helps to clear up this presentation. that I would like to be done in lesson 2. So yeah, just about getting the kids really excited, setting them up. Talk about the environment as well. Like you could niche this out a bit, edit it and make it your own, whatever it is. But yeah, definitely about getting the kids really excited for the journey ahead of them.